The shock sacking of Nyck De Vries by AlphaTauri has really shook things up in the current Formula 1 grid. This was the first full-time chance the Dutchman got in Formula 1, but that only lived up to just 10 races. So, Nyck is pissed at Red Bull. But what does Ricciardo's return to the grid mean in Formula 1? Rumors about replacements for Sergio Perez is now growing as the Australian's appointment at the sister Red Bull team is seen as a threat to the Mexican. What does Ricciardo's appointment mean for Yuki Tsunoda at AlphaTauri? Was AlphaTauri right to get rid of Nyck De Vries? And how is the Dutchman planning to make a comeback in Formula 1? Today, we are going to unpack it all, so don't go anywhere. Daniel Ricciardo is making a surprise return to Formula 1 as an AlphaTauri driver for the rest of this season. The wording from Red Bull is clear. They have loaned their third driver for this campaign, meaning Daniel won't be staying at AlphaTauri after this season. The 34-year Australian, who was released by McLaren last season, will be resuming his racing career from the Hungarian Grand Prix. He replaces Nyck De Vries, a 28-year-old rookie, just after 10 races into the current campaign. The Dutchman seems to have lost his drive due to his poor showing at AlphaTauri when compared with how his teammate Tsunoda is performing with a below-par TO4 chassis. With the shuffle of drivers at his team boss Franz Tost said, "I'm very pleased to welcome Daniel back into the team. There's no doubt about his driving skills, and he already knows many of us, so his integration will be easy and straightforward. The team will also profit from his experience, as he is an 8-time Formula 1 Grand Prix winner. I would like to thank Nyck for his valuable contribution during his time with Scuderia AlphaTauri, and I wish him all the best for the future." The sacking of De Vries comes as a shock to many, as we saw it coming some time after, but not this soon. De Vries himself will be disappointed with his short-lived racing career at the sister Red Bull team. His home race is just after the summer break, but Red Bull had to make a move quickly as their reasons are justifiable. De Vries is 28 years old, he is a Formula E world champion, and has been working in this sport for longer than any other rookie could have dreamt in their entire life. So with all these stats on his back, Nyck was under the pump from day one at AlphaTauri. He was for sure not given the space a rookie from F2 might have got. After his points finishing debut at the 2022 Italian Grand Prix, his target was set high, which he was not able to achieve with his 10 races at AlphaTauri. Helmut Marko explained in detail to Dutch publications on why De Vries was fired from AlphaTauri. "We contracted Nyck because he performed great at Monza last year. We expected him to be at least equal to his teammate Yuki Tsunoda this year, but that was not the case. Actually, he was always 0.3 of a second slower. We didn't see any improvement. He is 28 years old, he has a lot of experience, and has also been able to gain a lot of knowledge as a test driver in various Formula 1 cars. You can't compare him to a young rookie in my eyes." Marko made an important point for us to remember. Nyck De Vries is a Formula 2 champion and a Formula E champion. He has been racing Formula E for 3 years and has been on other racing categories before getting his change full-time in Formula 1. Furthermore, he has been working for Mercedes as a reserve driver for some time. So, experience-wise, Nyck has way more outings than what a Formula 1 rookie would have. This might have been his first full-time job at Formula 1, but he has had way more experience than any other Formula 1 rookies within the past decade. The problem for Red Bull was they did not see any improvement within the Dutchman. Helmut Marko is a straightforward man, he tells what he feels directly, and that's how he was able to get Sebastian Vettel in. That was how Helmut was able to sign Max Verstappen in Formula 1 at the age of 16. Marko, with his brutal honesty, said that De Vries lacked the pace, as he went on to add, "We had to do something. Why should we wait, and what do 2 more races matter if you don't see any improvement?" Nyck is a very pleasant guy, but the speed just wasn't there. Say what you want about Helmut Marko, but he is 100% correct in this situation. Nyck is 28 years old, and a Formula 1 team will not be able to shape him into something they want now. 10 race weekends is enough for experts to evaluate a driver's performance, and I am sure that is what has happened to Nyck now. So, what now for Nyck? Well, after hours of his ousting from AlphaTauri, the Dutchman was seen having a talk with his former boss Toto Wolff at a cafe in Monaco. This is not a replacement talk at Mercedes. It's just Nyck getting some ideas and consolation from his former boss. Now, let's talk about what Ricciardo's return to the grid means to Red Bull, and especially Sergio Perez. Daniel Ricciardo, after an impressive tire test performance at Silverstone, has been given a car to drive for the rest of the season. This is his chance to prove what he has really got in the tank. Ricciardo recently admitted he would be willing to do anything if there's at least a chance it could lead to a proper Red Bull drive. Ricciardo's really looking ahead to 2024 and beyond with Red Bull in mind. What Ricciardo must prove this year is that he is not a lost cause post-McLaren. That had already started with some encouraging results from the simulator work for Red Bull, and that has apparently continued with a strong run in Tuesday's tire test. Any discussion about the driver lineup for Red Bull's two teams and the future of Ricciardo must ultimately include Sergio Perez. Given Perez's present form, the timing of Ricciardo's return to the grid could not be worse. Verstappen continues to rule in the same car, which is unquestionably the best in the field by a significant margin, despite the fact that he is struggling and has missed Q3 in 5 straight races. Christian Horner, the head of Red Bull Racing, stated categorically that it would be incorrect to imply that Perez may be replaced because he is still under contract for the upcoming season. Horner actually made it crystal plain in Austria that any talk to the contrary is untrue. He reaffirmed Perez had the team's full support at Silverstone after that. At the moment, Perez is only costing the club a few additional trophies and points. Verstappen keeps winning, and both titles are already locked up. Red Bull must, however, make sure that this doesn't go on in the long run. But at the British Grand Prix, when Perez made a quiet comeback, he claimed he was confident in the support of the Red Bull's hierarchy and didn't give a damn about any rumors concerning his future. The question of whether Ricciardo posed a threat still needs to be addressed. However, the simple statistics show that Perez has only achieved 1 podium in 5 races while currently sitting in a distant second place in the championship in the best car. Unavoidably, Ricciardo will perceive his continued difficulties as the possibility of pinning open the door to a Red Bull Racing seat once more. He would only have agreed to an AlphaTauri drive in the middle of this season for that reason. Now, let's talk about Yuki Tsunoda. Of course, Daniel is coming into his team now. If you take a look back at how much Yuki has evolved at AlphaTauri, that is a dramatic change. He joined the team in 2021, he was aggressive, impatient, and many more we can say. But from there, he has now evolved to be a team leader now. He has consistently outperformed Nyck De Vries this season, which was one of the main reasons for Red Bull to fire De Vries out. But now, he has to go head-to-head with Daniel Ricciardo, an 8-time Grand Prix winner. Daniel is at AlphaTauri seeking out only one thing, and that is a seat at Red Bull. What should he do for that? He has to outperform Yuki Tsunoda by defining margins if he really wants to impress the heads at Red Bull. That would mean good news for Daniel, but what does that mean for Yuki Tsunoda? The Red Bull Drivers Academy is very hard on underperforming drivers. If Yuki is not able to keep up with Daniel's performance, his future at the Red Bull Drivers Academy will be under huge threat. Helmut Marko has the last say on drivers, and they have to keep impressing him to keep their drive. Martin Brundle feels this is the situation at Red Bull and AlphaTauri now. He feels that Daniel has to perform at his best, outperform Tsunoda at peak levels, to achieve his Red Bull goal. It's high risk for Daniel in what is probably the slowest car on the grid. He's got to beat Tsunoda, he's absolutely got to. He need to edge him in quali, and in the races, that's an absolute given as an expectation. Maybe he can outperform that car. If he can massively outperform that car and get it somewhere near the top 10 and keep it there in the race, then maybe it will be his salvation in that respect. Now you have heard everything. What do you guys think about the mess Red Bull is in right now? Can Daniel really beat Tsunoda consistently and prove himself worthy of the second Red Bull seat? What do you guys think about Red Bull's decision to replace Nyck De Vries with Daniel Ricciardo at AlphaTauri? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section down below. We'd love to discuss it with you. And on your way down, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get notified of our future uploads to keep yourselves up to date about the 2023 Formula 1 season.